according to Christian.
Why you gotta put him on the spot like that?
I believe it's
No, he said it in the podcast before.
Look, I respect you, man.
Yeah, according to Christian, the honeymoon phase doesn't necessarily exist.
No,
Or
it doesn't have
that.
that. The honeymoon phase. Some people the thing about the honeymoon phase is that it's a phase. That's where me and JERiCK are. We see differently. Like the honeymoon phase, he believes is that ends. Well, first and foremost, you get into a relationship, and obviously there's gonna be bumps in the road. There's no doubt about that. But that's growing pains. That's how you grow to be more in love with the person that you are with. Now, the honeymoon phase was stated that it stops suddenly, and then happiness stops. Like you're suddenly just in a relationship.
No.
I personally, hold on.
Okay, go.
I personally believe that like the honeymoon phase is not a phase, but it should last throughout the relationship. Like I want to know from you, like that's a 9-year relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had a 5-year relationship.
We've had many honeymoons.
Right? Oh, see.
I mean, no.
But like, I guess what I'm trying to explain is that you keep that happiness lasting. Like you don't just stop catering to the person that you're with. Like the honeymoon phase is not just this is the moment in time that I'm gonna absolutely love you. No, the honeymoon phase, if you want to be with this person for the rest of your life, the honeymoon phase has to last as much,
So
even more.
this is my view of it. When you first start dating,
Yeah.
obviously the honeymoon phase, right? You're very excited to see each other, and you're kind of just like very infatuated during those times. Doesn't matter how long it is. Some people could be 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. But after that ends, that's when the real shit happens, and that's actually the better shit when it comes to relationship. The real
relationship
feelings.
The relationship.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's how I view it, at least. That's why I said it's a phase, because the honeymoon phase is just like basically infatuation and not necessarily a real thing.
So to add on to JERiCK's, the way I see it is blinders, right? You're in that phase where this person is perfection. You don't see anything else but perfection, and you're infatuated, you're in love, you're happy, right? After that phase is over, the blinders are off, and that's when the real relationship does kick in. You get to know more of the imperfections, more of the relationship. You argue, you fight, you have like more dynamic into the relationship. The honeymoon phase is just that happy phase where you're like on a honeymoon, on vacation, being happy.
Basically, everything is like perfect.
Yeah. But now the blinders are off, and the real relationship begins after the honeymoon phase, where everything else happens, because you can still have the happiness in the relationship. You can still create mini honeymoon phases, if you want to say that, right? But it's, again, still a phase. Like it stops to a point where the relationship becomes real. That's where I see the honeymoon phase, and that's why they call it, because it's just a phase. Because at that point, after the honeymoon phase, the relationship becomes a real relationship. That's where you start getting to know more of your other significant other. That's where you get to experience more, discover more, learn new things, experience different things.
And in my opinion, it's a lot better. I mean, honeymoon phase is exciting, but actually getting to that next level after that's when the real love and the real relationship starts to happen.
Yeah.
Right? You 9-year man.
I'm jumping in here.
Jump in there.
All right. I'm going to, I beg to differ with both of them.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I agree with you.
Ooh.
The honeymoon phase, though, does not end. It's not a phase. It just evolves.
Yes.
Right? It
Yeah,
just changes.
I agree with that.
And it's not necessarily when the relationship actually begins. The relationship begins when you're like, it's official and it's on Facebook or Instagram,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
According to many.
Facebook.
Fucking
If it's not on
millennials.
Facebook, it's not real shit.
Fucking millennials, dude. It
You're
took
a
me
millennial.
yeah, but it took me like
Okay, boomer.
yeah, right. So it took me. I'll disclose this real quick. When me and my girl got together, it took me a long time to put that on Facebook to say I am in a relationship.
Yeah.
Right. And it took that long because I think it might have taken a year.
Yeah.
right? Because I mean, I wasn't looking for validation.
Yeah.
I didn't really give a shit,
Yeah.
right? Whether
Yes.
anybody needed to know whether I was in a relationship or not.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I didn't give a damn. Others do. So hey, I mean, props to you. To each their own. All right, moving on. Yeah. So the relationship doesn't begin, I'd say, when the honeymoon phase is over, because there isn't a timeline on it, man. It isn't 5 months. It isn't like 3 months, 6 months, a year. Like, you don't know when the honeymoon phase is gonna end. And the relationship starts day one, right? Things aren't gonna be perfect on day one. You're gonna fucking argue. You're gonna have misunderstandings in what you consider the honeymoon phase. What I consider the honeymoon phase, though, is this heightened passion for each other, right? Not necessarily infatuation, because infatuation is like, okay, I really, 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 really like you.
Yeah.
But then, well, I might not like you tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm out. Ghosting.
Ghosted.
But you have this heightened passion, man. You're willing to kind of just go overboard and be like, I'm going to get her flowers. I'm going to surprise her at work with flowers, rather.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick her up at lunch at work and take her to Whole Foods or something.
Yeah.
You know, something cute like that.
Mhm.
Ice skate. You're just over the top, and you have all this passion. But you are arguing, man. Right? If you go out and you don't invite her, well, there might be an issue there.
Yeah.
You know, or if she like sees you in a photo with some other chick, there's gonna be an issue there.
Yeah.
Right? And you're still, if you want to call it a phase, in your honeymoon phase. But when it does kind of down, like that passion finds its rhythm, right? It's like a song. It finds its rhythm and it kind of slows down, right? You don't have the same high degree of passion. It just kind of evolves into something different. You guys get into a routine, right? You get into a routine where, like, instead of like meeting up every day at lunch, you know, you guys are, I don't know, maybe meeting up like once or twice a week, right? And I'm not saying a routine's a bad thing. And, you know, for a lot of people, like, getting into a routine is kind of like, oh, like, we're in a routine now. Things aren't different. It's not like the beginning. Well, duh, bitch. Like,
you guys have been together for a
change.
while, so I don't
Been
know.
together
like,
for a while.
You can make
That's
it.
when you kind of like try to spice it up.
Yeah.
Talk to her, be transparent. But at the same time, don't illegitimize her feelings, right? She's trying to express to you how she feels.
Yeah.
If you try to overpower that and be like, well, you know what? I do this and that and that. Bitch, she doesn't care whether you do all that shit. She wants you to kind of take what she's telling you to heart and maybe, you know, act on it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't fight back. So the honeymoon phase, I think, just evolves. And you know, I've been in many relationships before this one. You know, and each one's a learning experience. Did each one have a honeymoon phase? Sure, it did. You know, where that heightened passion where you just kind of like want to bang all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Well, you know what? That banging don't last all the time. You get into a routine, and it just evolves into something different. So, yeah, I'd agree with you that the honeymoon phase is there. It changes. It really does.
But I think I feel like we're talking about the same shit, but we have different terminology.
Well, you
for
guys
it.
were saying, and I'm not trying to say it's wrong or anything, but your guys' interpretation was that the relationship began when the honeymoon phase ended.
No, we're saying
No,
But
no.
at the same time,
I mean, the
You're
real
putting
stuff, which is
the
what
real
you're
stuff
talking
gets
about.
well, the real stuff begins when the relationship begins. You're gonna fucking argue, man.
Yeah.
Like this distrust, this jealousy, that doesn't happen like when the honeymoon phase ends. Like that happens since day one.
I don't know.
bro.
I've never really argued with somebody
in the beginning.
in the
Yeah, dude.
beginning.
Like it. Well, I mean, it happens, bro. I mean, it may not happen to you guys yet, but it fucking happens. Like you're gonna bicker, and maybe like it's 3 months of a honeymoon phase. In those 3 months, you guys didn't like have a misunderstanding,
See,
or get to
honestly,
really know each other, or have like
You're putting a
sense of.
timeline on it.
No, 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 no,
You're
no,
saying
no,
a
no.
phase. A
Dude,
phase
you
can
guys
be-
said a phase, bro.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
You guys
said-
A phase.
Hold on,
All
hold
right,
on. Let
all
me go
right.
back here. You guys said the
You
You had a
relationship.
timeline of 3 months.
No,
A
you
year.
guys said the relationship begins when the honeymoon phase
No.
ends.
Yeah.
That is saying that the honeymoon
dude, you're
phase
not
has a
listening.
timeline.
Bruh, just listen.
You've
bro.
implied a timeline.
Okay. Now it's for us to
Go ahead.
Back.
Okay, so
Give me your rebuttal. Let me hear it.
What I'm
Let me hear
saying
it.
is, obviously, when you get together, right?
Yeah.
that's the relationship. Okay, we all agree on
And
that.
it doesn't begin then?
No, I'm saying
But the real shit don't begin then?
The
when
real
you
shit
actually
should've began
fall
then.
in love, you don't fall in love in the beginning. If you're like telling her I love you first day, then you're fucking
I mean,
you're one of
does-
those. Okay, we agree.
does
Do we
the
agree?
honeymoon phase imply that you love them?
Not necessarily. You're building up to that. It's like you said, honeymoon phase is a heightened passion, and you're like, in the beginning, you're like, oh, I really like this girl,
Mhm.
and then after a while, you're like, you start to fall in love, right? Do we all
Well, I don't
agree?
know. You can start falling in love since day one. You just haven't vocalized it.
I mean, that's a start, but
Right.
you're not necessarily there. Are you gonna tell her day one, I love
Right.
you?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay,
But
then.
what I said is like you can start falling in love with this person,
And that's
Right.
what I'm just saying. I just said
but
that.
you just didn't vocalize it.
I just said that.
You just said you have
We're-
day one, or
From
on day one.
you could
Day one, you're
grow in
gradually
love.
falling in
All
love,
right.
that
Okay.
person.
good, Okay.
right? We all agree. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
When I fall in love,
So-
Hey. Hey, well, he's in love.
Yeah.
it will be
That's love.
forever.
Yeah, so
Man
we
can't
all
sing,
agree
but
on
that's
that,
love.
right? And then, like you said, honeymoon phase is very heightened passion when you think everything is going perfect. Well, I don't know. I don't know about you. You said you've argued somebody during the honeymoon phase. I've never really argued with anybody during the honeymoon phase because I think during that time, you're very like
So
you
when did it
can
end?
kind of tolerate somebody's kind of you don't necessarily see it because you're on that like
heightened level.
heightened level. You're like, oh, she's perfect or he's perfect or whatever.
So,
no,
so you're
people
saying
you
me
don't
that,
see because all right. Let me
Go
talk.
ahead. Go ahead.
Let the man speak.
Yeah, you don't
I want to jump in. All right, let's go.
because you don't see their flaws because obviously you're on that heightened passion emotion. But
You still see it.
that's why when people
You're oblivious to it.
let's say you
This is you.
away away from the let's say you're done with the phase, the heightened phase, that's when you figure out, that's when you realize you actually love this person, but then you're also starting to notice their flaws that you never noticed. I was exactly the same person 3 months ago, but then all of a sudden, like my chewing annoys you or I do something that annoys you, like all of a sudden
That's
that shit
annoying.
starts to show up. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Right? Like you probably in
That's
the
why you
beginning,
say-
like the first, let's say the first month, the first 2 months, you're probably like, man, she's amazing. And then she's exactly the same person 3 months in, 6 months in, but for all of a sudden, she starts to get a little annoying to you.
That's
So-
what I'm saying with the blinders. With no honeymoon phase, the blinders are on.
So y'all didn't fart on the first date?
I don't know
Did
about
you?
you, but
Nope,
do
I'm
you?
not,
Did you?
I'm not farting on the first
Did you
date.
fart on the first date?
What type of fart was it first? Like,
No, but I mean, like,
it was a queef.
you gotta. I mean, that's the things those things that you're like. What it sounds like is, and I'm not saying that you guys do it, but like that phase is where you hide the
You guys
part
gotta
of
stop
yourself.
calling it a
You know what I'm
phase.
saying? Like,
No,
yeah,
you're-
it's
No,
not for
you're
me and
not
Andrew. It's not a
necessarily
phase.
hiding.
Like, I feel like me and Andrew are stating that this is who we are, and we're laying out on a table. Because Andrew don't fuck around. Andrew's gonna put all the. He's told
No.
me put your cards on the
I'm
table.
not saying I'm not hiding anything. I'm
You're
the
not
same
hiding
person
anything.
I am now,
But they're
Then, like,
they have
6
the
months
blinders
ago.
on from seeing.
but she doesn't necessarily notice
Notice.
my flaws or I don't notice her flaws because it's so heightened that you don't really see anything else aside from obviously you're perfect.
I'm not gonna say that's wrong. I mean, yeah, it's
That's-
true.
it's
You do
in-
have
Because
some-
like, why
to a
is
degree,
it all
you-
of a sudden I've been doing the
The
same
same thing.
shit
and it's
but
now annoying.
now
So
it's
it almost
annoying?
sounds
what
like-
the fuck?
So yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, during this honeymoon phase, you have blinders on, right? To what degree those blinders are open, I fucking don't know, right? And if you're trying to express your true self, then I hope they're not wide open.
Well,
But at the same time, hold on. We're also implying here that the honeymoon phase ends when she starts getting annoyed,
yeah.
when she starts pointing out those flaws, right? I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean,
don't-
I feel like
again,
the-
like I don't think it's a phase.
I think that's.
I think it's like this.
Growing pains.
It's it's like this. Well, I don't know. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Gemma.
Let's pull
I'm
out
just
some
saying,
math
haven't
type
said
like,
shit.
anything.
again, to the whole like relationship thing. We're not saying that that's where the relationship now starts. We're saying that that's where the real stuff comes in. Because in the honeymoon phase, you're happy, you're exhilarated. You see this person to be like perfection.
So once
Right.
that happens, the honeymoon phase is over.
So it's not technically over because, like I said,
And the
in between
relationship
your
really begins?
Like,
relationship,
it doesn't just
it's
necessarily.
slowly
Oh,
goes
gone.
You know what I mean?
It's just
'Cause
like it kind of like
it's
slowly
steady.
dips.
And it hits the
But-
actual.
but
So
now
let me,
she's-
hold on. Let me say
But now
this.
you're
Let
having
me-
all these. Now you're starting to recognize things as you're still in the phase.
No,
I feel
you're
like-
not in the phase at that point.
So, but now that you're out of the
it's
phase.
It's the real stuff that comes in at this
So
point.
so let me ask this then. So you're telling me we're gonna swing it right back around to the very beginning. Well, not very beginning. We're gonna swing it back to getting to know them as friends versus just starting to date them. Now,
Why are you yelling?
I'm sorry, I got excited. Anyways.
I got these on. That was really loud, man.
Turn me down, JERiCK. I'm about to fucking yell at this bitch.
Listen up, motherfuckers. You
All
ever
right,
see the
all
monk
right,
go mad?
Go ahead.
All right, so you're telling me that. Okay, so you want to be friends first, right? And when you're friends,
No, I don't want to be friends
oh,
first.
so but you don't want to be friends first, right? But I'm talking to Jem right now. So you want to be friends first, right?
Yeah.
Right. When you're friends, they should already know the good, the bad, and the ugly, because you're friends. So if you do something certain, they're gonna know because that's who you are, and you don't care whether or not because you were just friends, and you didn't put a title to it, and that's all you were doing. You're friends. Now, if you're just starting as friends and you get into a relationship, right? There shouldn't be a phase. There shouldn't be the honeymoon. This honeymoon phase, therefore, does not exist because they should already like you for who you are, and this heightened, like emotion of let's just do it like Animal Channel and screw. That should already be there because you guys have. It should always be there because you guys have already seen this ugly phase. Now, if
what?
you're coming in here as like, oh, okay, like I see this girl and I'm gonna get to know her, then maybe there is a honeymoon phase. I will agree to you to that certain extent because you don't know who this person is. You don't. You barely. Oh, okay. Hey, I saw you walking down the aisle on aisle 7 in Walmart, and goddamn, let's date. And she says yes. There's gonna be like, oh shit, heightened passion. Like, let's get it on because I like you, you like me, you like what I like. Cool, but because you haven't had that opportunity to be just friends and to learn the good, bad, the ugly, there is going to be that so-called honeymoon phase because you haven't learned so much about them. And then at that period where it's just like, oh, 3 months in and I'm chewing hella loud. What's the difference? I met you. I was chewing loud in the first. Well, it's because she didn't know you then. She's like, oh, I'm trying to get to know you, and this is all I see. Maybe I will agree to you to an extent that there is a honeymoon phase. Maybe.
All right,
But
I'm gonna hold on. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, and I'm gonna request that you give me the Cliff Notes version of this shit because I got a little lost in.
okay, no, I'm just saying. I'm just like,
I mean,
if you're
can
trying to
kinda-
get,
I can kind of see your point because
Right.
like I've never really.
you didn't see it that way.
Wait, hold on. Give me the goddamn Cliff Notes because I don't know what.
Okay. What I'm saying
friends
is,
first, no honeymoon phase. But if you're ready, starting to date that person, honeymoon phase.
Oh, okay.
Boom.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah,
You gonna say that shit in 2 sentences?
No, he had to
You
tell
had
a
to say that
story, man.
shit.
I mean,
tell a story.
you had to tell a story.
You ever heard of a run-on sentence? That's what that shit was, bro.
I love. I make my sentences run back
Goddamn,
and
you
forth.
put commas
boy.
all the way over. Fuck.
all the commas.
Damn.
But then like if you put it that way, then I can kind of see like if you already. Because I don't know, I never
See, that's
really.
our view. I just
Then
realized
that's-
this because
that's
you.
probably why. Because
Yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah,
never
yeah,
friends
see?
first my girlfriends or whatever. So I mean,
You got more than one right now?
Girlfriends.
don't
Go
put me
friends
on the
current.
spot, bro.
I mean, hey.
She might be listening,
I'm a
or
listener.
they might be listening. Shit.
Who knows?
All right.
But you
each
can
their own.
agree to that extent then.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. See, I just
And
realized
that's,
that because
that's probably why we don't agree in that sense.
yeah.
But-
Now we have an
But
understanding.
when it comes to Andrew's point with
No, I still agree
he
with him.
said multiple honeymoon phases.
I said that.
No.
No. He didn't say multiple. It just says evolution.
Yeah,
It
evolution.
evolves.
Yeah,
Evolution of
It
the
evolves.
phase.
because I don't call those honeymoon phase anymore. Those are just like the next level of your relationship. Because sometimes, obviously, you find that passion again. Be like some days you're like we're very normal, and then sometimes you just like you go on vacation and all of a sudden you're like feel lovey dovey again, and then it goes back down again, and then it
Mhm.
just kind of goes up and down like
It's the
that.
ebb and flow being in a relationship, man.
Yeah, I just think that
Yeah, and going to the next stage is just an evolution.
yeah.
You're just evolving your relationship.
And that's why I'm saying that the honeymoon phase ends when the perfection or the
The blinders.
the blinders come off, and that's my definition of it, at least.
Teach your own
Because I think we're all talking about the same shit. We just have different
interpretations.
interpretation of it.